So ma'am, before education you served in paramilitary services. It's a very proud, I am very proud sitting here and talking about that. So what motivated you to join forces?
Observed Dr. Kiran Bedi at that time. So they were my inspirations, role models.
Read somewhere that motivation comes from within, right? What is that one thing that motivated you through all the difficulties in your service?
Struggles have always been there for Indian women. So even now, I feel that now I am stepping into my 40s and what would a 40-year-old Indian woman should be doing right now?
How one can become disciplined?
It's very easy for me to answer this question.
Hello and welcome to the Voice of Leadership podcast. This podcast talks about inspiring, encouraging stories of leadership in education centers. We have special guests who are the educators and they share their ideas, their visions, their experiences with us. Today's episode is truly special. Today we have Miss Madhu Chauhan, principal from Tagore Public School, Gurugram. She loves children. She is dedicated, she loves discipline, she enjoys teaching children and also she is a principal.
Thank you, Anshika.
So Miss Madhu Chauhan, to begin with, could you please briefly introduce yourself in your own words?
I'm Madhu Chauhan, principal of Tagore Public School, an independent certified director, and yes, an ex-servicewoman from the paramilitary forces.
So ma'am, before education you served in paramilitary services. It's a very proud, I am very proud sitting here and talking about that. So what motivated you to join forces?
The times which I belong to, I'm an 80s kid. For us, patriotism wore a uniform. So whenever the thought of serving the country came into my head or any child of my generation, we thought uniform. I should wear a uniform or I should pursue a career which takes me to that path wherein I can call myself a responsible citizen of my country wearing a uniform. So it started, from grade 10 and 12 only, wherein I used to observe Dr. Kiran Bedi at that time and many other Indian women who had been into the police services. So they were my inspirations, role models, and many of my cousins also, they chose to be police women.
There is a family also.
Yes, and in fact, my father, my grandfather, he was the president's bodyguard. Yeah, so it has always been there in the family. But yes, personally, I wanted to wear the uniform.
How did it felt once the day you first time were part of paramilitary and you wore the uniform?
During my childhood, I had thought that I would be the most powerful person the day I wear the uniform. But honestly telling you, when those stars were badged on my shoulder on the passing out parade, me and my batchmates, everybody was so emotional because it was the time that we were taking the responsibility of protecting and guarding the infrastructure of the nation. And side by side, now we were responsible for holding that weapon in our hand, which may be misused also and used properly also, and we all wanted that we never have to use it. We never wanted to use it, but still we had this power that we can do. So it was a mix of emotions. We were not clear what was going to happen ahead, but yes, it was very emotional. I can never forget that day.
So adding to this, ma'am, how did once you joined the forces, your mindset, the discipline, the leadership, how it has changed or impacted? What was the change once the mindset especially?
Yeah, it gave me a lot of clarity when it comes to making decisions. It gave me a lot of precision when it comes to delivering excellence. And it also gave me sort of some strength that I am the one who is responsible. I'm the most responsible person to handle this situation. So I think since the training period itself, when we were trained to be officers, from the very first week itself, it started blooming inside all of us, especially me, that I have to become the best version of myself. And this is what I was always waiting for. Whether it comes to, waking up early in the morning, or planning in advance, or working under extreme pressure conditions, I think I enjoy them rather than, taking them as a burden or a stress. I think that brings me more joy, more opportunity, and I feel more accomplished when I'm done with certain tasks.
That's kind of encouraging that how to stay disciplined and motivate yourself. So, ma'am, I have read somewhere that motivation comes from within, right? So, what is that one thing that motivated you through all the the difficulties in your service, when you were not, when your days were not the hard days, the challenging days, but what motivated you to keep going?
As I said, being a kid from the 80s, um, bringing in something personal here, I always felt why I was not a boy. Why am I a girl? Because somewhere in those times, boys used to get certain opportunities and girls did not. Similarly, when we entered the armed forces, also, there also I used to feel, why am I not a boy? And why am I a girl? Sometimes you are discouraged, sometimes you are reminded that you're a female. So struggles have always been there for Indian women. So even now, I feel that now I am stepping into my 40s, and what would a 40-year-old Indian woman should be doing right now? So struggles have always been there. They will always keep coming, and that should not stop you from being what you want to be. My son, he's extremely proud of me, the way I deal with things, and I feel that he has started becoming a better problem solver, because he has seen that pattern, that whatever problems come, you have to just be very organized, prioritize your stuff, what you really want to do, because you cannot be worrying about something which is not going to happen today or tomorrow or next week. You can't be worrying about the future right now. But yes, think logically about the task at hand, what you can do to solve it, to make it a better situation. And you're not alone. You always have people around you whom you can trust, whom you can collaborate with, whom you can always rely on. So you have to be self motivated that way. It definitely comes from inside. And whatever problems come in your life, they are actually opportunities for you, that you just take them one by one and keep solving them. And then you feel more empowered, more motivated.
So what I liked about this, ma'am, that your son is learning from you, because the way you handle difficult situation, and that what the 21st century skills are about, managing and taking decisions. So as a principal, how do you define your leadership style? That you have given a brief here that why you have chosen this, but as a principal, that every principal operates in a different way, style of her own. So what is your style?
I think I am a woman who only appreciates dignity, dignity in every way, at work, in communication, in every possible manner. So I value the people who work with me rather than for me, I should say. And I feel that I am the most responsible person in that group, and I have to ensure that everybody feels valued, everybody feels that dignity which I'm talking about. So, yes, I am highly disciplined. It's not so easy to be that person, because when it comes to discipline, everybody wants to take a shortcut and not do things, stuff like that. But um, when we practice it every day, for example, a little thing like we have a reporting time of 7:45 in the morning. So I'm never at 7:45. I'm maybe at 7:30 only there for my people. So being the leader for me means setting example, being a role model. So I can't be expecting my collaborators or my staff members to act in a different way when I'm not doing that. So I am a people's person, of course, but yes, I have some standards with which I just don't negotiate or compromise with. But yes, I respect, appreciate dignity.
So you don't want people to follow you. You create a system where you are also part of the system. So that is a leadership style, ma'am. I want to ask you one thing, that nowadays Gen Z or Alpha, Beta, those who are going to start school in few years, we are not. I'm personally struggling with discipline, following a discipline, because you have followed it for so many years. So it's part of the system. But how one can create that system, that because discipline is the only thing which gives us freedom, but that is the first challenging thing which is not happening for people. So what one or two bits, if you can help us to understand that how one can become disciplined.
It's very easy for me to answer this question, honestly, because I practice that. Yes. It's difficult for you to find the answer of that thing. I feel that necessity is the mother of invention. When you need something, you'll definitely do it. For example, when you have planned to go out for movies with your friends, okay, or if you have planned to stay together over the night and have some party, pajama party with your friends, you definitely do it, and at that time only, with those resources only, with that outfit only. So it's all about your need, what you really want to do. If your focus is on something which is other than what you're talking about, then definitely you will be distracted. But when your focus, your vision is clear, what you really want to do. For example, I'll tell you, when I used to teach my son when he was in kindergarten years, he used to watch a lot of Spider-Man and those Avengers and superhero stuff. I used to like it too. But when your kid is all the time watching those things, you also start feeling bored. Now, watch something else at least. So, you know, he gave me a perspective. Being a 5, 6 year old kid only, he said, Mama, I will listen to you, I will follow you the day I Google Spider-Man and Spider-Man photographs come. So I should Google your name and your photographs should come. That day I'll start following you. So it was, so difficult for me in 2010, 11, 12 to actually think about it. Who would, just put up my photographs or my content like this on social media? Because in those days it was not so in. But when we continuously pursue our passion, when we are continuously working on a particular vision or a goal of ours, things start falling in place. It's all about affirmations, what you manifest. So it was for him, it was because of him. And, today. Always a point. Yes, there was always a point. And to answer what you asked right now, that how can one become a disciplined person? You have to be very clear about what you want to do, whether it is losing weight, whether it is pursuing higher education, whether it is being with the type of friends you want to be, or looking at or attracting some salary package. You need to actually focus on that.
How I'm going to achieve that. And for that, we need to make certain changes in our life. Yeah. Thank you so much for the answer. Wonderful answer, ma'am. So right now everybody is talking about experiential learning. So how practical it is in the classroom? How it is going to help the classroom? You yourself as research and you are working in that segment. So if you can just enlighten us.
Yeah, I'll share another anecdote from past. Me and my sister both were asked to make tea. Okay. Yeah, she's only 2 years younger than me, and I love my sister. So we were both asked to make tea. Sometimes she, sometimes me. Okay. And every time I used to make better tea. And she also used to make good enough, but there was some difference. The only difference was that whosoever used to make tea, I used to be standing there. I used to be observing. And maybe I was 2 years older than her. So I had been doing it for more than 2 years than when she started. So I had more experience in making tea. That's why my tea was better than hers. And probably she was just copying how to make tea, and rather than making some variations, how not to make the tea.
Matlab the kind of a feedback also.
Yes,
What can I do different now?
yes. And gradually she also started making very good tea. So this example I shared, why? Because I feel that when you do not do something, okay, you just only read about it, only theory, when you are only referring to the theory part of it, you get knowledge, no doubts about it. But when you do not apply that knowledge, okay, to achieve something, to solve something, to create something, then there is no difference between you and a computer system who has knowledge, who has everything. Even computer would apply in solving certain things, but it's just like rote learning happening, you getting good marks, but later on you are not able to use that definition, that example which you scored, which you really did well in your past. So I feel that experiential word comes from experience. So when you enable the children in your classroom to experience a concept, to experience what problem it is to be solved, or to help them experience what can be created, to solve this problem. So I think that is the reason I have been working on experiential learning. My experience has made me what I am, and every child you interact with in and around your locality, they will be very confident talking about things which they have actually done. है ना? If a child has not made a kite with his own hands, he will not be able to talk much about it, whether it will go high in the sky or not. Even the paper plane which we used to make, mine still never used to go that far, but my brothers used to go too far because he has practiced the art of making different types and sizes of planes. So one needs to keep practicing, one needs to keep applying the knowledge to become better, to achieve and perceive excellence.
Here I want to ask, many people who get successful, right, or many people who has a voice that can be shared with masses, they say that they don't learn, they have not learned anything from school. But I somewhere feel that the foundation is always created in school. But yes, the practical, the application thing is started now. So what is your, if you want to share one bit on this, would be?
It sometimes happens, the Gen Z uses a word W. It means chup hi rehna, chup reh gaye hamesha. And it has happened with me also, in spite of the fact that I was the head girl of my school, the best debater, and I was, the anchor in many of the programs and annual days and everything. But it came on when I was in grade 8 and 9 and 10 probably. But before that, I was also a silent student in my class. So I agree with those people who say that, something which could have happened in school did not happen, right? But that all depends on the quality of educators we have around us. So the school definitely gives those resources. The school, just like our board, it gives you a curriculum which you have to follow, but how you're going to deliver the curriculum and how passionate about how passionate you are about that curriculum, it all depends on individual to individual. So some people's experiences have not been so good at school, but some, like me or maybe you, our experiences might have been very good. If not in the classrooms, maybe outside the classrooms. If not in a disciplined manner, probably in an indisciplined manner also, wherein we were planning to bunk the classes, not me, but yes, my friends did. So even they are doing quite well in their careers. School gives you a society, it gives you a community wherein you go through various types of emotions, situations. Apart from the syllabus and the curriculum that we teach in schools to get good marks, we also teach in schools how to deal with life, how to feel that you are a part of this society, you are not away from it, and you cannot solve a problem by staying away from the problem. You have to be around the problem to solve it. So I think my school, which I am leading right now and my school from where I received my education, both have helped me in every manner to become a better person. Sometimes the opportunities which do not come to you, sometimes um, that sort of a stage you're looking for or appreciation you're not looking for, that might not have come to you, but even that is an opportunity for you, that maybe now you're not so good at it, you need to work on it, and then you will get it later.
Very well said, ma'am. So, coming to adding to this point, that how do you want to motivate, or how do you motivate the teachers to think beyond, or plan beyond textbooks, because we are talking about experiential learning on that part only. So,
I carry a lot of advantage, to be honest, because being an ex-service woman, I I feel I have this privilege of adding to my words every time that we all are responsible towards this country. You always don't have to wear a uniform of a police officer or army officer or any other government job. You don't really need to carry a nameplate. You still can be that patriotic. You can still be a part of nation building. And that is where I feel that I give a sense of responsibility to my team, my fellow educators, that you are not just teaching a subject or a concept, you are giving that sort of an ambience in your class, you're giving that sort of an atmosphere, you're creating that sort of a trust that you will be remembered by this kid even when he has left the school. So you want to be remembered as just another teacher who ignored him, or just another teacher who got angry because you did not complete a homework, or you want to be remembered as a person who always motivated the child. And when that long term vision comes in front of your eyes, I think every human being wants to be remembered as the best. We always want to be remembered in the best of our work, whatever we did. So I think that generates a sort of responsibility in the team. And of course, trainings and there is this thing called those periodic feedbacks which happen, which help these people to take a lot of decisions when it comes to what sort of training do you need, where do you think you're falling weak. And there are days when a teacher is not feeling so happy. On those days we allow them to take a break, right? It's 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 just a bad day,
it's
maybe.
okay to feel this way and just take a.
Yeah, and same is with the kids. Yeah, if somebody has not spent good time with his friend, maybe, or he's not talking, or there was an argument while traveling in the transport, school transport, so the child may not be in focused, may not be in the good mood which he usually is, and maybe he has prepared for some task in the class and activity, but he is not able to do it. So it's okay. You have to always be welcoming to the child. The child should always feel that faith on you as an educator, and then you see the magic happening in the classroom. There should be trust.
Yeah, well said, ma'am. Thinking about the teachers and also the students. That is a good leader, is right. So, ma'am, in today's fast changing scenarios, what do you think? What qualities a leader must or should have, non negotiable, with all the changes we see?
Dignity, as I already said. We must have the dignity, and we must also deliver the same thing at the same time. I think today's leaders needs to be more empathetic. They need to be more sorted, more systematized. Also, they need to be more updated, because the generation we are dealing with, it's not so easy. They have bombardment of information around them. Sometimes they don't even filter the information, they just want to share, they just want to talk about it. So as a leader, you should be aware that you need to be abreast with the generation you're dealing with, and if you're not, then you'll not be accepted. So I feel we should keep learning, we should keep accepting the people around us, we should be more empathetic, and most importantly, we should never compromise with our standards. I think mediocrity is not something which is compromisable or acceptable. In every way, I feel that when you set up certain standards, when you set up certain benchmark, you yourself should not come down from those. They should not be negotiable. So, as a leader, you need to set up those standards for yourself and for your team.
Yes, ma'am. And adding to that, empathetic, that principal or the educators needs to be empathetic towards students. So, how you balance empathy with discipline among, around students? How you create that balance?
I think I myself teach in my classes. I just don't sit as a leader or give speeches or lectures only during assemblies and presentations or annual days or events. I teach, and when you are in that battlefield yourself, you realize how a teacher struggles, how a student struggles, and the advantage of being a principal and then teaching in the classrooms is that children start reaching out to you. You become more approachable for them because you've shared more examples. When you're teaching, because I teach English in my classes, especially in the senior grades, so they interact with you, and when you are approachable for children, the next generation, I think you start becoming that person, that you start empathizing with them, because it's not a one day art. You have to do it every day. And when you, as a leader, do not empathize with your teachers, you do not empathize with the children, then what sort of a team are you leading? Because when you look back, there is no team, because there is no empathy, because they don't feel heard, because they don't feel observed, they don't feel mattered. And I have to make them feel that you matter to me. We are a team, and I am a principal of these students, these teachers. And if they do not matter to me, then what am I doing here? So the whole idea is to take everybody along, and empathy has to be practiced on everyday basis, and it does not come out from the books. I think you are an empathetic person. It's natural. It's natural. When you have gone through those situations, you know how you have felt. Then how do you allow it to happen in front of your eyes?
Connect with other person on the same ground because you felt the same. Yes. So, ma'am, can you share an instance where project-based learning or explanation-based learning you have seen visible difference in students' performance?
Okay. There are many, but since you've asked one, um, I think I would like to bring about a student from grade 4 of my previous school when I was teaching. He used to be a disruptive child, a very notorious one, and sometimes, what should I call, the person who invites trouble towards himself, that everybody should be ready to call out his name, that he must be the one who must have done this, something which is not so good or wrong. So project based learning gives you the feeling of uh, having a role and a responsibility in the project. Everybody has a role to play, and I have observed that in spite of being the naughtiest, the most disruptive child in the class, that child created um, you know unbelievable model an unbelievable model, like uh, a solar operated, solar energy operated, this thing, water purifier. Yeah, so it was unbelievable for me to watch, because he used to be naughty, but at the same time what he was doing is he was navigating from one group to the other with the purpose of troubling them, but his subconscious was registering a lot of information. Yes. So some were working on those solar models, some were working on filtration of water, some were working on an electric circuit probably, but he got something from somewhere. And when on the culmination day, he was a part of a group to present something, but he came already with a model which was working. So I think then I felt the real essence of project based learning, because a project is a problem basically which we pose to children. We give them a question, a driving question which keeps moving in their head all the time, and they keep churning ideas to solve that problem. They refer to the books which are the source of information. They talk to their parents, grandparents, friends, even the household help sometimes, because they just want to solve that problem. And whatever end product we want to showcase during our culmination, they're so excited because they want audience to ask questions from them. They want to be heard, they want to be appreciated. So project based learning gives you value in your learning. You know, your learning is visible in front of your eyes. Usually when we are learning in the classroom through traditional methods, you listen to a lecture, or maybe you look at an illustration given by the teacher on the board, you look at the question answers given in the books and notebooks, you learn it, and then you give your pen paper test and thing is done. But in project based learning, you get to solve a real life problem. For example, how do we measure how much waste do we produce every day? Everybody can say that by weighing machine. But what is waste and what is not waste? What could have been actually reused or reduced? So there are questions which revolve around the driving question which we are referring to. So in the verge of solving that question, a child goes through a lot of emotions related to the society, the problems which the whole world is facing, right? Another driving question was like, how can we plan where to go for a school trip? So we can always say, let's go to the mountains or to the beaches. But how? How much time? What is the budget? Like what all transports are available? Yeah, the whole planning. And when the whole class has to do it, it becomes even more chaotic because everybody has some idea. So their systems come in place where you have to decide who has got what role, who will do the survey. Then is survey only done in an offline mode? Now we are in 2026. It can be online also. Which one would work? Some children do not have devices at home. And in schools, so definitely we don't have many devices. We can have at the most 10-15 tabs given to the children under the guidance of a teacher, and then they go to other classes to take their responses. So given the resources, a child gets to know there are so many ways of solving a problem, and the teacher acts as a moderator, as a facilitator when a project is happening, but the child knows what I have to do to reach to my end product. So project based learning gives you a perspective. It gives you confidence because you are actually doing what you are learning in the books, and whatever you have learned so far, you are able to apply even that knowledge which you learned in grade 1 or 2 when you are doing a project in grade 3. And sometimes maybe you are able to look forward to the topics which you will be probably learning in grade 4 in future, right? But I don't know this. Grade 4 children know the formula to do this thing. I don't know, right? So they get to see that I am not done yet. There is a lot to be learned. So project based learning gives you a better perspective. It gives you more desire to learn. It generates curiosity for
I think
many
the
more
approach would be
concepts
vertical and
than what you are
horizontal,
actually
that
working
you know
around.
what you have to go through now and how many people you need to meet. So that is one thing. Very good. Adding to that point, because you have already covered, ma'am, just that how effective lesson plan and learning materials play in the classes. Just 1 or 2 points, because you're already covered that you provide the resources, but how it is effective for all the teachers and principals who are going towards this. So how it is going to help school system.
It's as good as telling that reaching the airport without a ticket, without a destination planned, and without referring to the money you have in your wallet or in your bank. So it's the same, that you land up in a class without a lesson plan, without the resources. You don't know who knows what already. You don't know what is to be done, because the time frame is there. You have a 40 minutes class in which you will spend 5 minutes disciplining them, 5 minutes counting and checking if everybody is there or not, then maybe 2-3 minutes lining them up whether the furniture is all right or not, then another 2-3 minutes are gone asking them take out your books and notebooks. And by the time your learners are ready, you are still thinking, what do I need to teach? If you see a teacher asking, what were we doing yesterday? The whole idea of learning in that classroom is almost gone, because the children also get to know you're not confident, right? So it is very important to have a very crystal clear lesson plan, because if you don't plan what questions you're going to ask in the classroom to know what level have they reached, so recapitulation has to be there. Then what all learning objectives you are going to cover up in that class, and those learning objectives should be clearly told to the children that this is what we are going to learn today, so that every child knows that when I am done with learning this thing, then I can have a little chit chat with my friend also. So learning objectives have to be clear. Then, for example, if you've planned to have some reading in the class, or some extra reference books have to be brought in, or some gadgets, or a video has to be played, you need to be ready with those. If that is not there, your time gets wasted. So lesson planning is very, very important. Without lesson plan, you will never be able to achieve your real objective of conducting that class.
Pressure of completing the syllabus will always be, because we are not planning. That is,
Covering the syllabus is very easy, but impactfully completing the syllabus and generating that efficiency in your classroom will not happen until and unless you have a solid lesson plan with you.
so ma'am, we have discussed in length about the professional side of. Now I would like to ask your personal interest. So one thing which is very important is that do you enjoy reading blogs, and if yes, that which one is the latest educational blog, or any blog that can help the listeners to go back and watch or read.
Yeah, there are so many blogs thanks to technology and this social media world which we are a part of. I have read many blogs, but lately I went through a blog which was from a tier 2 or tier 3 city probably, wherein a teacher was dealing with the first generation learners. First generation learners refer to learners wherein the parents of that child are not educated, or do not converse in a particular language you use as a medium in your class. So there I saw that a teacher had shared that she was sharing voice notes on WhatsApp with the children of her class during the pandemic had occurred in 2019. So I felt that the teacher of such a city where technological advancement and reaching out to people, and there where learners are first generation learners, if she can do such things, then what are we doing sitting in a metropolitan city with all the resources provided by our management? Then what are we doing? So every time I read a blog and I feel inspired, it triggers something in me that today I'm going to step into a classroom and maybe ask a teacher, let's collaborate, let's create a lesson plan, let's plan an event, an activity. So that is how I feel reading those blogs helps me, it inspires me, it makes me feel that I'm not done yet. I've done many projects with my children as a teacher and as a principal also, but every time I do a new project, I feel I'm lost, I don't know anything, right? It happens with every coach that when you have to do it you feel lost, but then you sit calmly, you look around the awards and everything you have got, you look at those appreciation notes from your children, and then you feel energized again. Okay, now let me calm down, let me organize my thoughts, let me focus on the driving question, and let me plan the project all over again. And every time you do the same project also, you create something new out of it. So that is how it works.
And when you plan lesson plan, you create lesson plan. So how you are connected with the challenges, you yourself, but do you uh, ask the teachers to pitch in? What are the classroom realities? How you create a lesson plan? One thing which is very much important.
When I'm a teacher, I create a lesson plan. Well, like when I'm teaching a class, a concept, so I definitely create a lesson plan. But when it is vetting the lesson plan of other teachers, because they send the lesson plans to me also, that ma'am, please review it and all. So I see sometimes the lack of research that has happened. So maybe providing a few more links to her, or maybe visiting the library with them and sharing that, see, we have more books, right? And sometimes creating some collaborative worksheets for her on platforms, any of the AI platforms like Canva and stuff, or working on her PPT with her to make it more clearer, have more clarity of that concept and the focus which needs to be there in those classes. And sometimes I ask them to create their own videos, because a child who is absent might have missed their class, because the concept is really very, very important. So I ask them to create their own videos in that manner and add certain captions to it and put it in the groups, or our portal, so that children who have missed out also, or maybe in the future if they want to revise that concept, hearing from you would be the best thing that can happen. So I think this is how I pitch in. And when I plan my own lessons, I always refer to my previous lesson plan, which I created the previous year. I always refer to it. And there only I have made notes, because every time you take a class, you come back to your room and then you see what went well and what could have been better. So those notes we have to make, those remarks we have to write, so that when we create this same plan again, we do not forget that these were the loopholes.
Yeah, so that always keep us updated in the next one. So ma'am, after so many years in education sector, how you keep yourself motivated with every time doing the same thing, updating, the process, how you stay updated, motivated? Updated is always because you are yourself a resource person, but how the motivation kicks in?
It's a new date, it's a new hour, it's a new minute, it's a new second. I don't think it's the same thing which was happening. So every moment is an opportunity. And I feel that we all are aging, right? And with age comes that responsibility too. That if I have, because we all don't know how much time we have, right? So I feel that maybe this is the last time I'm doing this thing, so I have to do the best. So I think time is what gives me that's this sort of an energy or motivation to do things in a better way and to the best every time, because I don't know how much time I have.
Adding to this, ma'am, so what advice you would you like to give to young educators who are going to be the next leaders?
Yeah, this is ironical because not many people in this generation, or even in my generation, or maybe before that, wanted to be teachers. In a classroom of 30, if you go and ask how many how many of you would like to be teachers, I don't think more than one or two hands would come up. Everybody has those candid responses ready to express. Engineers, or maybe doctors, or maybe software engineers now, or maybe data analysts, so which, yeah. So not everybody wants to be a teacher. So I take this as an opportunity also, that nobody wants to be what I am. You have to take this as an opportunity, and you can be that change maker in the society, because everybody is running in the same race with the same goals in their heads. You're the only one who is here to sacrifice that time, because when I am at home, at that time also, maybe I'm thinking about a teacher or maybe one of my students, right? So this is a noble profession wherein all the time you are only thinking about your community, right? You're not thinking about how much money I'm going to generate out of this profession, more children are going to appreciate me and that is going to increase the bank balance in my account. That is never going to happen. It's only when you feel that you could bring about a change in a child's life, when you see a change in the behavior of a child, when you see that a teacher or a child has started feeling that they also matter to someone. When I can remember their birthdays, when I can remember what they wore last time, when I can remember what role play or a scene from which I really could not forget what the child did, there the magic happens. So that is this.
And ma'am, how can school prepare students for life beyond exams or beyond marks? So what can we do different?
I think we already do it, and it has been happening over years, that school marks prepare you for an exam, but your education, which you perceive, you receive on everyday basis in your classrooms, even outside the classroom when you're traveling, or even when you're sitting at home, education is happening, learning is happening. It can be positive, it can be negative at times, but learning is still happening. So I feel schools definitely play an important role in shaping the life of a child, but it's a triangle: student, parent, teacher, student, parent, teacher, and we all play equal amount of accountability and responsibility in shaping the life of students. So school alone cannot do everything. Similarly, parents alone cannot do everything, and a student also alone cannot do everything. We have to work collaboratively to create that sort of a culture at school also and at home also, so that the best comes out in a child.
True, ma'am. So adding to this only, what changes you want to see in Indian education in the next decade?
I want more people to become educators, first of all, because I think charity starts at home. Yeah. So when we will have better educators, we will definitely shape up the education system in a better way. So that is there. But I also feel that the amount of training time that we spend on teachers, it should be more realistic. Just like we are shifting to realistic education. I was lately talking to somebody and they said that we are still teaching tungsten and those things in the classrooms, which these things really don't exist because we are in the world of LEDs now. So concepts in the books have still not changed, and we have reached in a different time. So similarly, teaching, education, these all words are not just words. They carry a lot of weight, they carry a lot of responsibility, and change in education can only come when we as educators come together and work on that path, that each day in every child's life has to be made so special for him that the child feels that I have had the best of my childhood. And it happens at home also, because parents are also educators. I have been a mother, so I understand how much pressure is there on a parent's mind, that you have to reach office, you have to perform those responsibilities, and then you have to handle your kid. My child is in grade 12 right now, he's appearing for board exams. So we have to give time to the children at home also, and the types of conversations with which we have with our children should be revolving around focused learning, rather than pointing out what is not good. We have to focus on what is good. So I feel um, education is evolving, and so are we. And since we are talking about it so much these days, I look forward to a positive change.
In the next decade. So, and finally, how you want your students and teachers to remember your leadership? I would say your legacy. That's the right word.
I should I should say that I have been more of a mentor to them. So whenever they feel proud of themselves, that they are also very systematic when it comes to planning and execution. Whenever they say that they have been able to manage a crisis, a disaster, and they should remember me, that ma'am was so particular about these things. Also, I feel that whenever they admire discipline anywhere in any format, they should remember me too. So that is the way I would like my students and teachers to remember me, that I was always acting as a role model, and I always wanted to be with them rather than being in front of them. So it was holding hands both, yes.
Not one way, it's like two way. For them, with them. Thank you so much, Ms. Chauhan, for sharing your insight, your journey, wonderful journey, and your journey from being a ex-military, ex-paramilitary to educationist. This podcast helped me understand that how discipline works, how leadership works in school, and the way you explained beautifully the project based learning, how it is important, how lesson plan, creating a right lesson plan before starting a classroom or before a year ahead starting. So that everything is important for a teacher, for an educator, and truly it was inspiring and encouraging for us. So Voice of Leadership has, I think, did justice today by being you here. So ma'am, anything you want to add, just let us know. Anything, any last bits from your side?
I would just like to add,
For our listeners, ma'am.
as the daughter of this soil, that we are sisters, we are mothers, we are partners. But God has created you with some intent. You have to identify your purpose in this life. And the day you identify that purpose, you will be the happiest person, even on the darkest days. So just keep living every moment the way you should, and then things will keep falling in place for you. Because when you manifest this kind of a positivity about your purpose every minute, it will definitely happen. And I have practiced it as a project in my life, that how things can work for me. And I feel, value yourself.
So thank you so much, Ms. Chauhan, for your wonderful insights, and it was straight from your heart. So, dear listeners, join our podcast, follow, subscribe, like, to follow such inspiring, encouraging stories by such amazing leaders. And until next time, thank you so much.